Hi all! Today we are going to read a bit of Turning Pro from Steven Pressfield. He is a quite known author. I know mostly his non-fiction work, so his writings about writing and how to deal with all the issues that usually come from having a writing career or a writing dream. Not all dreams are careers, but it's my second time reading this book, so this is more of a reminder. I have read this for a while now. It has been a few years, so there's a lot of things that I don't recall exactly, but usually I have a lot of fun in reading something for the second time. So I hope you come along and enjoy. What we get when we turn pro is we find our power, we find our will and our voice, and we find our self-respect. We become who we always were but had until then been afraid to embrace and to live out. Sometimes, when we're terrified of embracing our true calling, we'll pursue a shadow calling instead. That shadow career is a metaphor for our real career. Its shape is similar, its contours feel tantalizingly the same. But a shadow career entails no real risk. If we fail at a shadow career, the consequences are meaningless to us. Are you pursuing a shadow career? In the shadow life, we live in denial and we act by addiction. We pursue callings that take us nowhere and permit ourselves to be controlled by compulsions that we cannot understand or are not aware of, and whose outcomes serve only to keep us caged, unconscious, and going nowhere. The longer we cleave to this life, the farther we drift from our true purpose, and the harder it becomes for us to rally the courage to get back. Both addict and artist are dealing with the same material, which is the pain of being human and the struggle against self-sabotage. But the addict, amateur, and the artist, professional, deal with these elements in fundamentally different ways. When I say addiction, by the way, I'm not referring only to the serious clinical maladies of alcoholism, drug dependence, domestic abuse, and so forth. Web surfing counts too. So do compulsive texting, sexting, twittering, and facebooking. Distractions, displacement activities. Addiction becomes a surrogate for our calling. We enact the addiction instead of embracing the calling. Why? Because to follow a calling requires work. It's hard, it hurts, it demands entering the pain zone of effort, risk, and exposure. Maybe I should do a quick kind of review of the first part. So, book 1, about the amateur life. Pressfield starts to tell some stories about his life and people he knew, and how his habits and his life took him to some questionable choices, and how he, in the ultimate effort, was able to pass through all what he calls the amateur life and dedicates himself to write his first novel and the subsequent novels, because first usually isn't a sign of success. Just to finish the first novel is quite successful, but not publishing, because usually it's not good enough. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff about quitting, about not feeling ourselves as writers, as people who show up to do the work. And he describes some compares writers, people who wants to write, to addicts. We are all some kind of addicts, so I kind of agree with this. We usually just pick our poison, better or worse, depends. And he describes each addiction like a way that we avoid to do our work. It's quite short, each entry, but it's to the point. I think we can gather from this book a lot of nuggets of wisdom. And now we go for book 2, Self-Inflicted Wounds. In the military, to deliberately inflict injury upon oneself so as to avoid service is called malingering. It's a court-martial offense that is punishable in some armies by death. The habits and addictions of the amateur are conscious or unconscious self-inflicted wounds. Their payoff is incapacity. So we don't have to fight. The amateur is terrified that if the tribe should discover who he really is, he will be kicked out into the cold to die. Becoming himself means being different from others, and thus possibly violating the expectations of the tribe, without whose acceptance and approval he believes he cannot survive. See some examples of ways we incapacitate ourselves when we try to pursue a more directed, goal-oriented career. So it has a few more items about being an amateur and what being a professional means. Our flaws are quite mentioned here without much regrets about it. It's quite interesting to see someone admit some things that usually try to hide them. I already read it all. So moving on, we have always some stories and some funny stories that we can relate to, things that help us see some difficult points. And then we go to the book 3, the professional mindset. And in book 3 we have a part of habits and qualities from the professional that were mentioned before in the other book, in the War of Art. I always mix this up with the original Art of War. And here he speaks more about the professional life, how if we aim to be a professional, how we should behave, what things we should pursue, not just for the image of what we do, but do the work behind it, and do it with our humility, with our strength, with our way of seeing, always giving us the idea that resistance and problems and difficulties and our way of fighting when we are scared of what we do, it will not go away. So we just choose to show up to our work every day, and then we will have to accept that we will always have fear, resistance, doubts. The difference is we learn to deal with it and we show up to write anyway. So this is a good book. This is a good book about the life of an aspiring writer and what it takes to be a writer, a professional writer. Not in the sense of a published author, even though it could mean that, but in the sense that we show up as professionals like we would show up to any other career choice we've made. So this is a good book and I recommend it. So I hope you have enjoyed this little time with me. This is my first book review. So I hope you liked it and see you next time. Bye.